Hello everyone and welcome back to the Sports Porch. I hope you are all doing well. It's been a very long time since I've been back on this channel, but no matter, we're back. As you can probably tell from the video title, from what you see on screen, we're doing my 2022 NFL mock draft. Some disclaimers before I get started. This is a what I would do mock draft, none of that predictive mock draft crap. I can't say I'm the biggest fan of those, although they can be fun to do. And then second off, I debated whether or not to have trades in this one. I ended up going with the route of trades because I think it makes the process a little more interesting. Plus, I think there are some surefire trades that are going to happen before the draft or even during the draft on Thursday. So if you guys enjoy this video, make sure you like it. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, comment, and turn on notifications so you don't miss all of the NFL action. Alright, with all of that out of the way, let's go ahead and get this bad boy started. On the clock at number 1, the Jacksonville Jaguars. They just signed Cam Robinson to an extension after having franchise tagged him the past 2 years. I'm going to go with Kayvon Thibodeaux, number 1. I know at this point it's a pretty unpopular opinion, but I still believe that he's the best prospect in this class. He's got great size, great power, great explosiveness. He needs to work on his pass rush moves a little bit, but I do think that he is the best prospect in this class. Number 2, Aiden Hutchinson to the Lions. Pretty easy pick. He grew up 30 minutes from Detroit, from their practice facilities. Bring him in, immediately helps out on the edge. Not much I need to say about that one. Number 3, we're going to go Evan Neal to the Houston Texans. Even if Laramie Tunsil is still on the roster, this roster is just a mess. So let's go ahead, let's get some help for Davis Mills or even potentially Bryce Young next year. Evan Neal has played right tackle before. He can easily slot in there while Tunsil's still on the roster. Otherwise, you can always trade Tunsil and move him over to left tackle. So then next up for the Jets. I'm going to make a trade here early on so you can understand where I'm going with my process. I'm going to make this trade with the San Francisco 49ers, if I can find them. Trade for that 10th pick and add Deebo Samuel in, throw in a 3rd round pick as well. I think this is the trade that's going to happen. Deebo to the Jets. It seems like it's pretty likely, so we're going to offer that. It's accepted, so now the 49ers are picking at 10. And the Jets are still here at 4, but now they have a wide receiver. This allows them, in my opinion, to go with Ikem Ekwonu, the best run blocker in the class. There are some rumors that Mekhi Becton won't even play another snap for the Jets. I don't think that's true. You need 2 tackles anyway, and I think Ekwonu's the second best in this class behind Evan Neal. So then at number 5, the Giants barely scrape out of this with the top quality tackle in Charles Cross. However, they're not getting any slouch by any means. He's the best pass blocker in the class. Super smooth, super fluid. You do worry a little bit about his tenacity in the running game. But I think that once he gets to the pros, he'll be just fine. And Daniel Jones will certainly appreciate getting the help there. Number 6, the Panthers are in a really tough spot, in my opinion. I don't think they're going to go quarterback with Matt Rule still in the building. So this is a really tough spot for them. So I had to think about who I wanted for a trade partner, what they were willing to give up, because 6 is kind of a weird spot to go up in this draft. Nobody really wants a quarterback. However, I do have one idea for the team that may be interested, that being the Minnesota Vikings. So we're going to go number 12 and number 6 here. And since there's so little interest in this pick, I don't think the Vikings will have to give up that much to go there. Give them your 2nd rounder, give the Panthers a little bit more to build off of. They don't have another pick until the 3rd round after this, and those are the compensatory picks. Let's give them a 2nd rounder, offer that trade. It's going to go through. This allows the Vikings to take Derek Stingley. In my opinion, he's the best corner in this class, and I don't think that he's going to be there at number 12 when the Vikings are picking originally. You know, he's one of the guys who had an amazing freshman season. Injuries, COVID, coach leaving, all this stuff, I feel like kind of affected him going forward. So I think being able to get him in a room with Patrick Peterson, who can take the stress off of him in year 1 and get him back to playing 100%, back to that 2019 freshman season, I think you're going to see the best corner in the class emerge next year being Derek Stingley. So then at number 7, we're going to go Sauce Gardner here for the Giants. Really not a hard pick at all. Between him and Stingley, the best 2 press man corners in this class. Super long arms, great athlete. Didn't give up a single touchdown in his entire time at Cincinnati. So then for the Falcons, we're missing Calvin Ridley. We lost Russell Gage this year. Let's go ahead and get another guy in the building at Garrett Wilson, who is my wide receiver 1 in this class. Smooth route runner, good after the catch. You want him to improve his physicality just a little bit, get a little less cute on his routes, but otherwise he offers everything you could want in a number 1 receiver. And with the future of Calvin Ridley not looking so great, and with this roster is just going to be bad next year, let's add to it with what we can, frankly. Seattle at number 9 now. I'm going to go ahead and take Jermaine Johnson out of Florida State. This is another pick, in my opinion, that you just need to take a guy who you can build around. They're going to be a bad next year. There's no doubt about it. With no Russell Wilson on the team now, they're probably looking like a team that's going to be picking in the top 10 again next year. Not even have to trade into it, frankly. So I'm going to go Jermaine Johnson. I'm going to grab a good prospect and an important position, and hopefully he can build this defense back up in the next couple of years. So then with the San Francisco 49ers now here at 10, now without Deebo Samuel, let's go ahead and get them the Deebo Samuel of this class in Treylon Burks. Great after the catch, can kind of be used in that same hybrid role as Deebo was, although after Deebo just got traded, or is going to get traded in my opinion because of that, I'm not exactly sure how willing Burks will be to play this role, but I think he's ultimately great in the Shanahan system where he can get schemed open and kind of learn to be a real receiver in the NFL. So then at 11 for Washington, this is another spot where I could see a trade happening. All the guys that I think Washington wants in this draft could be had a little bit later. So I'm going to make a trade with the Pittsburgh Steelers, actually. We're going to go 11 and 20, and the Steelers are also going to give their second round pick next year. It says they're not interested. We're going to go ahead and force the trade anyway. So put it through. And we're going to go ahead and take Malik Willis. It's been rumored that the Steelers are in love with Malik Willis, and I think that he's one of the best landing spots in this draft. With the Steelers, he gets to sit under Mitch Trubisky, let him take the fire the first 2 years that he's there. Mike Tomlin seems to really love the kid. So I think this is one of the better landing spots that Malik Willis could go to. And I think that in the long term, the Steelers aren't going to be picking this high anytime soon, and they have to find a way to catch up with Deshaun Watson, Joe Burrow, and Lamar Jackson, all being in their same division. Next up then, the Carolina Panthers, who traded down to this pick. I'm going to pick someone who might be a little bit early for a lot of people, but I think for what the Panthers need and the positional value, I think this is fine, and that's Zion Johnson out of Boston College. I think some of the tackles are a little too early to still take at this spot, and I think Zion Johnson is the best pure guard in this class. He can plug in right away and be a starting caliber, if even a Pro Bowl caliber, guard in the league. I'm a really big fan of Zion Johnson. As far as pure guards go in this class, he ranks as number 1 for me. So then at number 13 with the Houston Texans, this is another spot where I can see a trade happening, and honestly, for my Green Bay Packers, I kind of want them to make a trade at this spot. I don't want them to have to wait until 22 to get a receiver. So with that, we're going to go ahead, trade this pick. We're going to trade number 28 to Houston for the number 13, and then also throw in a second rounder for next year. Offer that goes through. With this pick, we're going to finally take a wide receiver in the first round in Jameson Williams. Absolute speedster, the best deep threat in this class. Gives the Packers a real explosive element to their offense where they can go and score plays or score touchdowns in 2 to 3 plays now when they just weren't capable of that really in the past. They really have someone now, I think, who can take the top off of a defense. And Jameson Williams, for that reason, is my number 2 receiver in this draft. I'm a really big fan of his. I would really love to see him go to my Green Bay Packers, as you can tell. So then next up, the Baltimore Ravens, picking here, there's one guy on the board that has now been mocked to go number 1 for some reason, which I personally just don't see it. I think this is a nice landing spot for Trayvon Walker out of Georgia. The physical tools are definitely there. He's gotten a lot of Rashawn Gary comps during this entire process. He's not quite that prospect for me. He's going to be great in the run game, which the Baltimore Ravens obviously will love that, and being behind guys such as Calais Campbell, Odafe Owe. I think this is a really good spot for him to kind of learn how to become a pass rusher, at a team that is very good and has been very good in the past at developing pass rushers, edge defenders in general. So now at number 15 with the Eagles, we're going to go ahead and give Jalen Hurts a little bit more help on the wide receiver end with Drake London, a big body guy who can go up and get it. You've heard this a million times, but he does have a basketball background. He's an amazing route runner for his size. The one thing with him is going to be speed. Now, you do have Devontae Smith still there. You still have Jalen Reagor for whatever that's worth as your deep threat down the field. But I like just being able to get the ball to a guy for Jalen Hurts who has had accuracy issues and had them last year show up. Drake London can certainly catch a ball, and I think he's going to be a great help to this team. Now, the Saints at number 16, I think they're targeting 2 positions here, that being tackle and wide receiver. I think with the Chargers right behind them, probably going to take Trevor Penning. That's who they're going to end up with here. Absolute mauler in the run game. You love all the physical traits that he brings. He also brings that dickhead mentality. You've probably heard that said a couple of times, where he just plays with an edge to him, right? So I really like the fit here. Being able to throw him in at New Orleans, who is known for developing very good offensive linemen down there in NOLA. Now at number 17 for the Chargers, they're a little bummed out that they couldn't get Trevor Penning. With that Sebastian Joseph Day signing, they're not really pressing for a guy on the interior, but with Jordan Davis still there, it's kind of hard not to take him. Amazing in the run game. Love his potential as a pass rusher. The one thing you question, though, is can he be a true 3-down player in the league? Going to a spot like the Chargers where they just signed Sebastian Joseph Day can give him the opportunity to kind of rotate in snaps, get his pitch count up a little bit more, and continue to develop as a pass rusher. But at the very least, he can help out what was an abysmal Chargers run defense last season. 18, once again, we have the Eagles picking. This is where the fall of Kyle Hamilton will stop. You've probably seen him at the top of that board there for a while, wondering where he's going to go. This is the spot that I have him. Eagles need help in the secondary. I think Kyle Hamilton is the guy to fit their system. And overall, I just like his game. I just don't think he's quite worth the top, especially the top 5 considerations that he's been getting. Hearing Detroit at number 2, that's a little rich to me, especially being a safety prospect. But I like his value here. I think anywhere outside of the top 10, maybe at number 10, I'm okay with taking Kyle Hamilton. But I think this is his sweet spot. Moving on, we have the Saints again. One of my favorite fits in the entire draft, Chris Olave. You have Michael Thomas as your kind of big guy on the outside who was amazing within 5 to 15 yards. Then you have Chris Olave, who is just a smooth route runner who can get downfield. He's got a little bit of speed to him, a little bit of wiggle in his routes. I'd say purely the best route runner in this class, the most polished receiver in the class, and he's going to plug in day one and be a great target for Jameis downfield. You wish that his yards after catch was a little bit better, but I don't think the Saints really care about that. You also have that Ohio State connection. I know Michael Thomas, they probably didn't play with each other at all during this, but there will be a little bit of chemistry with those guys having the same alma mater, coming from the same college. So now pick 20, back to Washington. There's still one guy on the board who I think will go a little bit higher in real life, but just because of the way things have shaken up, this is where he lands, that being Trent McDuffie. A super smart player, the best zone corner, I would say, in the class, and just adds to what is the most volatile position in the NFL at corner, and can come in and be a day one starter for the Washington football team. Really love Trent McDuffie. He's my cornerback 3 in this class. Patriots now at number 21. We'll see another corner go off the board in Andrew Booth Jr. He fits their system really well. He is quite literally a J.C. Jackson replacement. Super ball hockey, lots of interceptions, finished off the year strong. Has some injury stuff you worry about a little bit, but overall I think the Patriots are willing to overlook that and replace a guy who they just lost in J.C. Jackson going to the Chargers. Packers at 22 now. I'm going to double dip on wide receiver. We're going to go George Pickens out of Georgia. So you have Jameson Williams as your deep guy, your deep Z down the sideline. This is your X right here in George Pickens. I believe if you would have done this mock draft in 2020, would it have been 3 years ago now, 2019, whenever his freshman season was, he would have been the top receiver off the board. I remember seeing mocks back then, having him as a top 5 guy. Just so happens with his ACL tear, things of that nature have really kept him off the field the past 2 years. So you don't really know what George Pickens looks like, but he's been testing really well. You've heard great things about him in the media. And I just believe in George Pickens and the potential that's there, especially if he has a guy like Jameson Williams on the other side who can, give him a little better work underneath. He also fits the Packers stereotype of a bigger body receiver who is great as a run blocker. So the Packers are going to love George Pickens and especially Jameson Williams and immediately get younger and honestly get better potentially from last year with their overall receiving core. Obviously nobody's going to match Devontae year one, but big fan of this pick, big fan of George Pickens. I really like his game. I really like his game to the Packers specifically. So at number 23, we're going to go ahead and take George Carloftus, whose name has kind of fallen out of the conversation in this entire draft process, but he's going to go to the Arizona Cardinals here, provide immediate pass rush. He is kind of a high floor, low ceiling type of guy, but I think that's what Arizona needs right about now. So I have George Carloftus going here. Not much else to say about it. I really like this pick. Then we're going to keep a guy in state here for the Dallas Cowboys, that being Kenyon Green out of Texas A&M. He's a great guard. He played a little bit of right tackle, so if they need to with La'el Collins leaving, they can maybe slot him in there for a couple of games, although I wouldn't necessarily trust that too much. He definitely is best as a guard, although he does have a little bit of versatility where I think that the Cowboys could play him at tackle if need be, but he's going to be great. This offensive line kind of got decimated in free agency. They need the help there. And I really like the fit here of Kenyon Green going to the Cowboys. Next up, we have Buffalo, and there's really one more truly first-round graded corner for me on the board. One more backside guy that can help out Tre'Davious White. That being Kyer Elam. Super sticky corner. He did get a little bit grabby, has some penalty issues. He also does have a little bit of injury concern. But you love the upside of him. You love him as a second corner on the backside for Tre'Davious White to be able to work on the other side. This is really one of the only holes on this roster after the Jamison Crowder signing. I did look at receiver at this spot as well, but I really like the fit of Kyer Elam here to the Bills. Next up, the Tennessee Titans. This is another spot where I think you could see a trade. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to see if the Detroit Lions are interested. It says they're not interested. I'm going to make the trade happen anyway. So for Detroit, a third-round pick, throw in there, the compensatory. Still keeps Tennessee in the first round for the fifth-year option. But at the same time, the guy who I'm going to have them draft in is still going to definitely be available at that spot. So we're going to go ahead and make this trade happen as the Lions will go ahead and take my LB1 in the class, that being Devin Lloyd. Prototypical size. He does everything you want a modern linebacker to do. He's mean as a blitzer sometimes, as a pass rusher, and he's good in coverage. One thing you worry about, he's a little bit older, but it's nothing too crazy to worry about. He is the guy who I feel best about with the linebackers in this class. So I like Devin Lloyd, and I think this is a good sweet spot for him in this range. Next up, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is kind of a tough spot for them. They lost some guys on the interior for the offensive line, although I think it's still early for any of the guys left on the board. They do still need help on the interior and the defense. Let's go ahead and take Devontae Wyatt. For me, him and Jordan Davis are super close. Davis obviously has the much higher ceiling, but Devontae Wyatt's going to be much better, I think, day one. He's a much better pass rusher at the position, and that's what I think that the Bucs are going to be looking for. They love that mean pass rush. They love their front seven to be mean, and I think Devontae Wyatt is going to fit in there very nicely. Now the Houston Texans taking Green Bay's pick here at 28. This is a spot where we're going to see a guy who I think has fallen out of the first round a lot. This is the perfect spot for him to go while staying in the first, that being David Ojabo out of Michigan. Torn Achilles, doesn't matter for the Texans. They're going to suck this year anyway, so they're going to redshirt him basically for this season. Don't have to force him back to play at all, and they can potentially get, honestly, the guy with some of the best potential in this draft at the position. Before he went down with that injury, I had him as edge 3, edge 4, somewhere in that range. So I think that a spot like this where he can sit and the Texans still get that 5th-year option on him to keep him cheap for 5 years, I think this is a great landing spot for David Ojabo. The Texans also get more picks for next year where they're really going to start picking guys who are going to matter for their team's success and build and make some immediate impact and hopefully continue to build this team up. So then at 29 and 30, I think the Chiefs will stay here at both spots in real life. I think they have enough needs that they need to cover where they're okay with just staying put. Maybe trading up. I don't see them trading down, though. So with this first pick, let's go Arnold Debiketti. They need pass rush help with guys such as Justin Herbert. You've got Derek Carr, who just got an extension, Russell Wilson in your division. These guys are all in your division, and you got to be able to get to them. Arnold Debiketti, one of the best pass rushing edges in this class, and with Frank Clark still there, he can kind of rotate in on third downs and learn how to be better in the run game. Then with their next pick, I'm going to go with their Tyrann Mathieu replacement. They have him listed as a corner. PFF does. They're so weird about that sometimes. We're going to go with Daxton Hill, who they have him listed as a corner because he can kind of play wherever, honestly. I think the gap between him and Kyle Hamilton is kind of exaggerated, if I'm being honest. Now, Hamilton, I think, is the better prospect, but I do like Dax Hill a lot. He can play slot corner. He can play safety. Wherever you want him to line up, basically, he can play it. So I think Justin Reed as well with Daxton Hill, I think that's a great pairing in Kansas City. At pick 31, I mean, Joe Burrow himself will rush this pick to the table, but you've got Tyler Linderbaum. So now, think about this. You have left tackle Jonah Williams, left guard Ted Karras, however you say that, Tyler Linderbaum, Alex Kappa, and Lyle Collins. Instantly one of the best offensive lines in the league for a team that just made the freaking Super Bowl. And who was just the most sacked quarterback in the NFL, Joe Burrow. He's not going to be that next year. That makes the Bengals extremely scary. Honestly, they'll probably be picking in the same range again next year, all things considered. So then with my last pick in this first round, we're going to go ahead and take Matt Corral. Now listen, Tennessee's roster is in a perfect space right now for the division that they're in. The AFC South sucks. They're good enough to still be able to win right now, but still be able to take a gamble on a guy like Matt Corral. With all the quarterbacks in the AFC, there is no way that Ryan Tannehill, in my opinion, going forward, is going to be able to help them compete. He just doesn't have a high enough ceiling. He's too expensive. So I think when the time comes, Matt Corral can give you 80, 90% of what Ryan Tannehill does, and he'll be way cheaper. And you also now have the 5th-year option on because you're still in the first round. So I like Matt Corral to Tennessee. You've got the Ole Miss connection between A.J. Brown and him. He works super well in the short game, which is what Tennessee loves to do. And overall, he's one of my 2 quarterbacks going in the first round of this year's draft. But that's all I have for you guys. That was my 2022 NFL mock draft. Let me know what you think of it in the comments below. What picks did you like? Which ones did you not like? I know I made some trades that some people might not agree with. Once again, if you're not already subscribed, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the notifications so you're not missing out on any videos. Also, give this video a like if you enjoyed it. That's all I have for you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.